Hello, how are people doing? Let's see if. Hello, hyperactive freak. Oh, Zinniop, how are you doing? Okay, I don't know. I don't know why I got you to brush your teeth fast, but that's nice. Let me see here. I still have. Intrusive thoughts are terrible. Anyway, I'm very confused about this. Okay, so all right. So do this. Okay, let's go and grab the poll. Oh, like summer prep. Oh, okay. Oh, you lost track of time until you noticed the stream was starting. Yeah, I I've been trying Meld for streaming, and I have this that there's some weirdness to it. For some reason, it will not properly do what I want it to do for take put my chat up there. So I'm using like something I don't like. Anyway, last week I put up a poll because we had a question about what class were we going to make the sun, and okay, I'm not lagging too much. Let me turn myself down so I don't distract myself. But if we go, boom, here is what our poll result was. Ah, I didn't mean to vote. Why is there 7 days left? Did I put the wrong date on this? Okay. Well, that should have ended today. So I'm just going to go ahead and end it today. I set it for the 15th instead of the 8th. Chat, what do you think? Should I leave it up for another week or should I end it today? I don't necessarily need to know the results for this poll right now. Okay. Well, let's think about that later. Because I mean, that's what I usually get for votes. So I think let's just end it so that I have. Okay, that's weird. And did it delete the results? Please tell me that it didn't delete. No, it didn't delete your votes. Okay, so people said that they wanted a new class for the sun, which we will get that working then. The main thing I want to do today, yeah, I don't think it's going to be interesting. It's an interesting choice that people made. I was actually not sure if I wanted to add to even include this option of a sixth class because I really was thinking I wanted to work with what I had. Um, but I can call it celestial for now. And then, but it's not going to be marked in the same way. So what I'm thinking of is that most of these celestial nouns will have another class, and then we add a suffix on top of that. So, like, what words do you think you would get for class 6? Like, what kinds of words? So this class actually applies to the sun, possibly the moon, possibly deity. Yeah, it could be sort of an honorific class, maybe. I don't know that the Fae would see it that way because of the way their culture works. I'm just thinking of different things that the main thing is that these are external inputs into the system. These are things that produce their own energy that go into the system or are in some other way separate from like the physical natural world in a weird way. So it includes celestial bodies. Um, Again, they don't really know how the sun works, how the moon works, but they have this special class for them. But also, they might put like ghosts and such in the same category. I'm thinking about that. So, um, uh, so we can think about. Oh, this needs to be split. And then let's get a shape for that while people are thinking. Actually, why don't I? What? Okay, let's go Lexergy. It changed the way profiles work. So let's go and get our Sylvan file. Okay, there's some potential ones. And let's go ahead and load up the latest dusk and dawn. Let's start with dawn and then dusk. Okay. Okay, so let's think of words that we want. So let's okay. I'm just gonna get logged into things, okay? Just for a second. And then close that out. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say, what is the basis for the celestial class suffix? What is the etymological source? And I'm just going to talk about, we're just going to have the, we're going to have both the dawn and dusk ones, which is not really it's not going to really matter which one. Let's look at, this is interesting. I think we'll just make it 3 options. These are different. Okay. And this is actually the full form of the word. It's going to get reduced. And let's make this a ranking poll, and let's give let's give you guys 5. Let's go by 8:35. Create the poll. Share it. Copy. Rank them in order of preference. And we can look at that. While we're waiting on that, we can think about, okay, so what would this mean? Some ideas for what it could mean would be like star or spirit. It could be an older word for sun itself, or an older word for moon. I don't know if the Fae are actually into gods the way that mortals are. Now, in a D&D world, theoretically, the gods literally exist, but that doesn't mean that everybody sees them the same way. The other thing I want to ask, here, let me actually ask in a separate poll. Because this is only covering the singular. Let me do a second poll. Should the celestial class have singular and plural forms? Now, if it's on top of another class, it might distinguish singular and plural that way. I'm thinking that it doesn't need to. So, but we can ask the question, yes or no. And I will also, no, we don't need multiple options. So show advance, and we'll go with today at 8:35. So that's the second poll. You can go vote in both of them. And I will. And then we'll hold on to that. Now, one thing, as soon as we get through that, we will. So let me actually bring up my bring this up. Hi, Logan. How you doing? I got 2 polls up. If you can vote in those. But anyway, Senor Avocado. uh, I'm doing fine. I'm doing some conlanging. Okay, we've got a few more people in the chat. Okay. Okay, let me do. Huh, that's weird. Okay, we have one person. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was interesting. So I think so. We decided there was no plural for inanimates either. And we end the polls. So voting is closed. The celestial first suffix, I like this one actually. Yeah, so Chishi or Chish is the modern etymon, but it was TT. We're going to say star. And I'm going to make the executive decision. Yeah, yeah. Let me switch that. I need. So here is what we had. So here's the poll results. So we had TT, which the modern etymology is the modern form of that in dawn will be Qishi, and the modern form in dusk is Qish. It's yeah, Qishi, right? Qishi in dawn, Qishi, and the modern form in dusk is Chish. This is a tone marking. And by one vote, it was a no on distinguishing the plural. So there is no plural suffix. Let's just merge these and say no plural. And I'm going to say that this was star. And I'm going to go, let's take a look just so that we can have the word as an example. I'm going to, so, puis, pshin, he, he, or he. I think you just have been chatting quite a lot. So let's see here. What is this? So that's a while bit right to me. Yeah. Sorry, just was checking something to see if it. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Um, yeah, you can. We are kind of. I'm. You can ask questions. Um, let's. Um, I'm happy to answer questions as I am able to. Because I am. Working on stuff here. But let's see. We got this. So these are all in Middle Sylvan, right? We will get to what they end up as in the four dialects, but yeah, let's see. So, not really liking any of those particular roots for sun. Bipa ta de ipwe might be cool. So I'm gonna collect a few things. Oh, this is sun is kind of a hero word to me. I kind of want it to be pretty. And I think I won't run a poll on this one. I'm just gonna make a decision once I see how it shakes out. Let me try. Do we want two? I can't. I think not. Screw. Okay, so apply. Sport. Okay, that could potentially be interesting because um, that will be resistant to mutations. Okay. Okay. Okay, so it would end up being the same in both of these dialects. Okay. 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 So we got ipwe, ipwe, faja, bi, hu. In this one, it would be ip, fach, bie, hu. I think hu. I'm going to go with hu. The other ones are kind of cool, but yeah. Yeah, Liam, you're absolutely right. So, um, I will say it doesn't matter so much whether you let's have a serious talk. Okay, I would say it doesn't matter a whole lot whether I here's what I'll say. There are trade-offs for using the historical method versus just just making the language synchronically. In the historical method, you do get I like the historical method because I like the process of discovery of the language. I also feel that it makes it easier to build in things like irregularity and also like consistency, like Liam said, making consistency with sister languages if you end up doing that down the road. But one thing you have to say is you have to choose what your time zero is, which I usually will set like 1,000 years before anything I'm using. Um, and you could just set your time zero at the modern day and just do your irregularities just on the fly there. I'm not 100% sure if that's true. Yes, that's a good point. Yeah. So yes, and senior avocado. Yeah, maybe for your first one, the for your first complete conlang, it might be good for you to just do it. And then in the future, you might use that as a proto-lang, or it might just be your practice project that you've done the first time. Your first one is not going to be that good, just like any artistic endeavor, or whatever, right? So take from that what you will. Um, let's switch back. Let's go back talking to our thing. So I'm going to decide on this que, 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 and then if we add, so what I'm going to do is I want to make it so that like the the celestial task class is tacked on top of another class. So I think what happened is it was actually originally, oh gosh, that's interesting. Okay, so that was a vote, and that's what came up. You guys didn't realize that it was awfully close to. Interesting. So the autotroph class. Okay, I think I can work with that. Let's grab this. Okay. Oh, I don't want to do it that way. I want to. These did emerge in middle. So we would have. Okay. Oh, I see. It is distinct. Okay. Oh, this should not. Why is this throwing an error? I think I need to. It's weird. It's a consonant. Okay. Trace changes. So let me see where this went wrong. It's at the end, the syllables. Unstressed voiceless deletion is causing this. Because it deleted that. Unstressed voiceless deletion. Oh, okay. Let me catch up with some chat, huh? Hi, Kent Freka. Uh huh. Yeah. So, yes, a conlang is never completely finished. A conlang is never completely finished. However, you can get it to a functional state where you can translate most things um, with occasionally needing to do some stuff, huh? Occasionally needing to add words. Now, I am going to have to go against the poll. because I did not realize. So I'm going to actually, let me go back to the poll. Let's see. Is that going to be weird for anything, any reason? If this pshing, 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 psh, psh, is, so in the spirit of the poll, I'm actually going to keep this word as a word for star. But let me just quickly check here. So we have thid, ud, ik, e, p, pow, ab. There could still be some collisions with this if it's preceded with a p. Probably not. So I'm going to say this actually. We'll find a way to make this like into some current words in old compounds and stuff. And then if we go into Obsidian and Dorothy, people are hearing you. We're going to Will you draw Dog Man? I want Dog Man. I want Dog Man. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we want ping, and this is a noun star. Actually, this is not. And where did that come from? I think it's just and if I click that, I should have the Elder Sylvan. But there's also, if we take This was we go back to this Lexergy, and we go with the TT, and we add that ping, right? TT ping, and then export that. And we also want to get the let's grab it from the poll. What was it? We also want this. This skew and add that ping. Skew and then T ping. No. Okay, this is still getting this. Okay. I don't know what. So we still have this bug. That's why would you be starting a syllable with that? These are defined as diacritics, right? Okay. Hey, what? Why are you not? Why are you? Hey, what? Why is Okay, that's a problem. Okay. Make sure I am. And we still have this problem. So I think what we can, okay. Ten tones? What are the tones, huh? Let me see. Let me ban a dude. Okay. I think I'm actually going to turn off the Twitch app, but this is not working right. Okay. $20 tones. I don't think you could have 20 distinct tones. So we're having this problem with both of these. So I would say, so here's what I'm going to do for that. I don't want to, so how do I define my glides? If I can figure out how do I define these glides? That's not it. I need sonorant. Okay. So the difference between this and this, yeah. So I think if we do, no, it's sonorant. Sonorant. Do I define my nasals as sonorants? Let me just make sure. I do not. So that's safe to do. In the environment, let's try this. Is it still throwing the error? Why have you not done the thing? Did I wait? Did I write that rule in the wrong place? Where am I? Are you talking? Wait. Um, why is it still throwing an error? Hmm. So if I do this, well, um, what? Why did it turn into that? Okay, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. Okay, I need to figure out. So labial tongue height consonant center. Okay. So I need to, because so if we have a we define these as tongue thrust. That should get rid of that problem. There we go. Okay. And then we did not have any problem here, right? Just double checking. Okay. Okay. So let's just quickly. I'm going to export. Uh, I'm just going to export I'm going to export this stuff. I'm going to just paste it directly into these notes. And then I will, because I need to move on. And then I will, wait, what? Export. Yeah, okay. Okay. Now, we need to focus. We need to get back to what I actually advertised this as we work as a stream where we would work out our romanization. And for that, I actually am going to go to this giant chart. Let's actually take these charts and let's actually move them to a new document because romanization. So, because we have like all of these different dialects, right? I really want to make sure that our romanization will kind of work for at least for dawn and dusk, if not fully working for everybody. Okay? So, let's start with consonants. Let's get it all on the screen. Now, so I think I will, first of all, there's plenty that we can just use the IPA characters, right? We'll go with apostrophes for adjectives. We'll go with this is a B. This will be an F. This, okay, so dawn, it's not phonemic, right? But we can go with V for the ones that have a distinct V, and then we can go with W here. We'll sort that out a little bit later. And again, we have just N, T, adjective T, D. Okay. Dusk has the theta still, so we do need something for theta. For now, the easiest thing to do is just say th, right? And this can be DH. We get TS and DS, DZ, right? S, dusk has a Z, so we need a Z. Everybody's got an L. Now the retroflexes. For retroflexes, I think I can just go with an underdot. How do I type with an underdot? Oh, that's an overdot. That's an under. Okay. An overdot probably is fine too. We can do with, yeah. I think an overdot for retroflex. What does that look like for T? I think I would prefer. Okay. I want to see. How do I? Okay, it's pipe is the underdot. Okay, so let's try underdots. I think that looks better. And then this can be. Nine vowels is kind of big, but if you're doing rounded front vowels, then it's not terrible. My problem was my problem with Inducigo was I randomly rolled for vowels, and I got too many for a language that couldn't do rounding. So this is, and then I don't see any reason why we don't need to distinguish with R. We need to know that this is, we can just note in the, we can just note that that is like the retroflex R. I don't think, even though we are using an R in Ndekaga for a trill, I don't think that's super important to notate differently here, because a lot of English speakers will make all of the R's just a R sound or something similar. Now, let's come back to this. This can be digraph g, ng. This is definitely going to be a K. This K apostrophe. This is a G. Now, I have established using KH for this. I think KH and GH work fine here. I don't think we're going to have an issue there. And then by extension, we have Q, Q, apostrophe and QH, which will only ever occur in night, so it's not a huge deal. And then we have just the regular H by itself. We might run into situations where we need to disambiguate that, but we can come to that as we see it. Now, these ones, since we, let's see, I kind of, so the thing is, if I go with like ch, j, if I do that, then like I could do that, right? The problem is English speakers are going to read that as their own um, ch, j, sh, j, zh, which is not what it is. It's sh, ja, sha, yeah, cha, ja, ja, sha, zh. And the thing is, that distinction is actually important because Dawn has the retroflexes. If you are doing this, if you have this distinction, and if you end up, so especially important here. So sha, sha, and xia, sha and xia are very distinct. If you change this to an English sha and sha are not very distinct. So in order to preserve this distinction, we need to like be careful with this. So let me see. What J for vowels? We could do like a CJ thing. I don't think that's not super intuitive. We can do like a different modification on S. We could do. How do you write S hot check? That's a S. What the heck? I don't know how to use my keyboard. If we do, yeah, so a percentage sign is hot check. Okay, so if we do like and but I'm not sure if that's added. And I am not using X for anything, Kat. I do not like using X in romanizations because X has too many values. X is not transparent to anybody, whether you have linguistic expertise or not. Um, so I mean, let's see. Let's look up this. Um, if we look up ways that this is represented, let's see, Wikipedia. Look up this sound. Tuesday. Okay. So, okay. Acute accent is used. We have the HY. We have X in Chinese. Also, Navi uses X for adjectives. And I don't have any need for that. The reason that Paul Frommer did that is because he can have a stop coda and a glottal stop onset next to each other, and he felt the need to differentiate that from an ejective onset. Anyway, so you can use C. I'm not fond of using C. Sheep. Okay, Ghanaian speakers. Che, she. This. Oh, Sadia. Sadia is a nice solution. Because the thing is, if I use the acute accent, I'm using acute accent for tone too. And that's going to be, it's not going to confuse anybody and people will understand it, but it's a little like wonky to have so many acutes. This is not a hot check. This is a breathe. Hot check is used for this. So you can use hot check. So let's lay out some options. So you can have a hot check. You can have a breathe, which how do I even, but can I type a breathe before on an S? I can't type a breathe on an S. You can use a sedia, right? Can I do both of those? Or that, no. That just looks like the IPA Retroflex Z. That's not going to work. So Cydia is not going to work. I think my best bet is to just use a hot check. And then we can do this. Ch, ch, ja, sha, ja. Then the last ones, I'm going to actually just go with yeah, because it's transparent. And since we have the wa there, what we can do is we can have that, which we do need for dawn. Now, to the vowels. Obviously, we can just have E. Let's worry about long vowels in a second. E, U, E, O, and we can have A. Now let's talk about some of these others. The obvious choice to me for front rounded vowels is always going to be that we have that the umlaut U. And I need to. Am I right? Why does dusk have long E and not short E? That's interesting. And we can have similar for I will say okay. So dawn and night are the only ones with these front rounded. I'd say um let's say uh, this is the tense one, I think, right? So right, and that can be that, right? Um, all. Now, I don't like yeah, so hyperactive freak using pinyin. So that would make this that would make this like X and J. No, no. So there is no voiced uh there are no voice fricatives in Chinese. So then I don't have anything for this, right? You would have you could have the aspiration distinction doesn't work there. So you would have C, J, and X, or C. No, it's Q, right? Q. Is it J? And then another thing is I need Q for this, which is a much more like canonical value for Q. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna. Pinyin works very, very well for Mandarin Chinese. It does not work so well outside of that. Um, so we need to figure out what to do. With okay, so figure out laxing. I think a very easy thing to do would be to go with breves for lax vowels. However, like it also follows the convention of Ndekaga. The only problem is if they're rounded and lax, or if we have a rounded, so if we a, an umlaut and a breve together is not going to play very well together. And I really don't want to have digraphs for vowels. I really like maybe there's something we can put underneath. I may need to make a custom keyboard. Okay. See how far. So now I could actually use J, since I'm not using J for other things, and put the Y over here, but this still will have problems with this. Let's see. We have, how do you type that? Um, I want more help. I wanted to have the full. I want to know how to type. It's, the other slash. And then can we have? Oh, I can't just put a breathe in on top of that. What's the creaky vowel voice symbol? Thinking about. We don't need to worry about this so much. I think it's allophonic in Dawn. Okay, so why is it? Why is this showing up in Dawn? Actually, this is only showing up. Because it's not tongue root. But all non-low. Okay. Yeah. Let's copy this and have it happen again after this. Just to make sure that we don't. Yeah, it's only happening in these two situations. So I think it's fine to just do that. And that simplifies things a little bit because this actually is not in Dawn. We can work out how that works in day and night later. Dawn does have this, and it does have this, which requires some attention. So you're saying the creaky voice symbol, which is which one is that? Creaky voice is an under tilde. There's also this non-syllabic, which is an under breathe. So if we had and then Not a great solution. If okay, let's look at this more rounded. This rounded. Oh. This is a possibility, but it's not ideal. So in Dawn, this is also redundant with a length distinction. So that's not a huge issue. I think I'm going to have to... I think I will let the length distinction actually take care of this one, which means this would be oh gosh, we're gonna end up with this, huh? But that means okay. So if I do this, so I can go with yeah, this, and then I don't like this doing double duty, but I may not have an option. I can't type that. Oh no. Where was my okay? There is no way to write a Y breve with this keyboard, which makes things more difficult. I'm going to have to do some kind of a custom keyboard no matter what. Okay. I think we are just going to have to break things, and we're going to have to say that this that so we're going to have to say they has this and this, but does not have the long version. That's something to note. I'd like to use. I'd really love to use macrons, but I need tone marks. So I'm I'm not necessarily going to be able to do that. We haven't decided how this works. This would only Dawn has it. Um, oh, look up ways that that's been represented. Oh, Okay. I think I'm going to have to think a lot harder on this, and I'm going to have to come back next week and give my thoughts on this. So, plus we're past time, so I'm going to have to think real hard on how to represent these vowels and what I can do with them. The main thing is that I have to also fit tone diacritics on these, which is just going to be a mess if I have diacritics for laxness too. If it weren't for the fact that day has these lax vowels, it would be fine. Because night, you can have the lax vowels and not have a problem. But I kind of still want to make day distinct from dawn and dusk. So I can maybe figure out something later. There's just too many distinctions in this system. I feel like I'm going to be forced to use digraphs for vowels, which I don't know if it's going to work because I think we can have vowels happen in hiatus. Let me see. Yeah. See, the thing is, you can have these two occur next to each other, so digraphs won't even work. And I also haven't figured out how to do the syllabic. Syllabic, I think, can just be doubling. Because I like cheesecake better than regular cake. And I get to choose. But, yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here while I struggle through making romanizations. Anybody has like ideas for that, you feel free to talk in the Discord, but I'm feeling that I might be forced to use digraphs or something because this vowel system is weird. But anyway, thank you all for watching and happy conlaying.